Hello. So today's gonna be a little bit of a more fun one. Whenever I do like one of the more tutorial ones that might be a little bit boring, I like to offset it by making one that's a little bit more funny. So this one is gonna be a Lucky PAWS game. I don't know why it is, but I feel like out of all of the hero augments, I've gotten Lucky PAWS the most, and I don't know why. Now, this is kind of insane. So we're playing Scuttle Puddle. Right, so boards are going to cap really high. People are all going to have a lot of gold. The people that usually have like a good spot in Scuttle Puddle typically can convert it pretty easily into like a top 4. It's something that I think I was talking about it yesterday in the tutorial, right? When you pump a lot of gold into people, a lot of times it's like the people that are ahead get very far ahead. The reason is just because like while everybody has a bunch of gold, whoever hits the strongest board essentially has the gold to cap high. They have the gold to go 9, gold go 10, and then they have these huge spikes in their board. And as opposed to somebody who might be stuck on like level 8, level 7, if you're doing like a reroll, the extra gold, yes, it might help you hit your board, and it might be really fun in that sense. But a lot of times, especially when like if someone's in a high roll position already and you pump them a lot of gold, then they can like, you know, they start getting like upgraded legendaries, then it becomes like an insurmountable difference in board strength, if that makes sense. But anyways, here usually when it's Scuttle, basically they all drop 1 extra gold. It's usually important to make 10. Some people really greed and they try and make 10 as many turns as possible. Me, I like to hold units just in case I have to upgrade them. So what I'm looking for is like on stage 1-4, you want to be at least 6 gold, right? Based on what units you're holding, because these are going to drop 4 gold. You make 10, you get +1 interest. And you can kind of keep up with the lobby. I think spending more gold is sometimes a little bit risky, especially if you don't know if you're going to streak, right? If you have like a bunch of upgrades or holding a bunch of 2 or 3 cost units, for example. But typically what you want to do is you want to make 10. Some people make 10 on 1-3, like they make it like a turn earlier, but I think that is a little bit greedy. So it's a gold augment, so I'm looking around for something that's going to make me pretty strong early. Artifacts there's a chance I can hit, but there's also a chance I can miss. I really don't like taking it, especially without like having a clear direction of knowing what I should take at this point. I'm just scouting around. I'm leading Sniper Crest for sure, but then I see Lucky PAWS. So here's an example of maybe a risky spot to take Lucky PAWS, right? I take Lucky PAWS here, right? We get this Kobuko 2 because it comes with a Kobuko 2. I paused the video. The reason I took it, usually I only take a hero augment. So for example, there's Lucky PAWS. If you want to be safe with it, you should have at least 2, I don't know how to draw him. You should have like 2 Kobukos here. Right, we'll make him happy faces. Right, you should have like at least 2 extra in my opinion, because you want to be like around halfway to the Kobuko 3 to try and guarantee it. There's a lot of times that if you don't hit this Kobuko 3 early, it's just an 8th, right? So even though it gives you this guy early and these augments are really broken, the only reason they're not like giga broken, like the only reason they're not performing super high in my opinion, is because a lot of people just take them from bad spots. You never hit the Kobuko 3, and that's your only lose con, right? Now the reason I took it was because a lot of times I'll say like usually you want to have at least a couple Kobukos before you take it. I have Redemption, which is a pretty good Kobuko item. It's not necessarily the best one. We'll check the stats after. But that's the reason I took it, is because not only do I get the Kobuko 2, I also have an item that I can slam immediately on the Kobuko. And that's something that's usually not really looked at. Or sometimes like you look at it, but you don't really think about it that much, right? For me at least, what I'm thinking is like, because I don't have to sack necessarily for extra items, I already have 1 item on this Kobuko, I can try and win a couple fights on stage 2, and in that way it's kind of justified to have this Kobuko augment. I basically have like a giga unit that can help me streak a little bit, because as you can see my board isn't that weak, right? I have a Rek'Sai 2 already, Rek'Sai's Bruiser, right? It worked out well. If I didn't have the Rek'Sai 2, I would have considered it a little bit less. Maybe I still take it, but that obviously helps me consider it. Here we have a Kiana with like really good items, so I might not win this fight. But this is what I mean. I'm not going to lose horribly with this Kobuko, right? It might be a 1 unit loss, and it's just because like, you know, I think even positioning I might have been able to beat this guy, right? I just needed like one of my bruisers to live a little bit longer. But as you can see, we're basically working on making 20, right? We're all going to be rich, so the chances are I'm going to hit Kobuko. It's just a matter of if I have enough gold left over, because it's Scuttle Puddle, right? Scuttle Puddle everybody hits. It's just like how low roll it is for me to find the Kobuko and whether or not I can rebuild my econ, right? Having the Kobuko early is really important. If you don't know, the way Lucky Paws works is it makes the Kobuko really, really strong, right? In that he like basically does like a huge amount of damage, which is what most hero augments do. They fundamentally change the way it works. So instead of being like a main frontline carry, he becomes like a main damage dealer. And it scales off HP, right? Kobuko, for every interest of gold that you get, he gains more XP, and he gains even more XP if you're a 3-star, right? Sorry, he gains even more HP. You gain HP for every gold that you have of interest, and he gains more if he's 3-star, so he scales really well into late game. But the biggest thing with Lucky Paws that makes it really broken is that it gives you gold for every time Kobuko kills a unit. So every time Kobuko kills a unit, you get +1 gold. If you have this Kobuko 3 early, you will be stronger than most people in the lobby because they're not going to spike. It's not like the rerollers are going to hit their 3-stars, right? Unless they have like a hero augment. Especially like stage 2, you don't really care about, right? A lot of times you just lose out on stage 2 just to guarantee that you have good items, right? Because you you become first pick on carousel, right? And you just build up your econ to make sure that you have enough to hit this Kobuko on your roll down. Then on stage 3, you basically just win. And every fight that you're winning, because your Kobuko is probably going to be the one killing most of the units, right? The Kobuko just like steamrolls everybody, right? And every time he kills a unit, you gain a gold. So then you recover so much gold that you basically just like sit there, earn interest. He scales his HP. He becomes a demon for late game. You get a bunch of gold. By the time your Kobuko isn't killing or one-shotting units, you're like level 10 and you have a bunch of upgrades. So like 5-cost upgrades on your board anyways, right? See, here the Kobuko only killed 1 unit. He's still 2-star, so I just get 1 gold. But all the gold matters a lot, and having the gold early is always better than having gold late, right? Having this gold early, I'm able to basically, like, you know, how do I phrase it? Make interest thresholds earlier, start making maximum interest, make as much gold as possible, and I'll be really strong, right? So that's why I took this Kobuko. It might not be the best spot for Kobuko to hit 3-star, right? But it's really good for this early game, especially the way I was looking at it. But like I said, it's a little bit risky. As you can see, I only have 1 extra Kobuko on bench, right? I really need to start like finding a bunch of Kobukos, just to make sure that I'm not in like that bad of a spot. It is Scuttle Puddle, so it's definitely very risky in Scuttle Puddle, right? The reason it's risky is because like other people's boards are going to get really strong really easily. So if I miss on this Kobuko, it becomes really scary. I took Cloak, right? Usually what you do is you build like triple tank items. There's a lot of different builds for Kobuko. I generally like the full tank, which is Redemption, and then Declaw, and Bramble. So this is like Cloak, and this is Chain, right? It's just like maximum amount of magic resist, maximum amount of what's it called? Armor, right? Attack resist, whatever you would call it. This guy's very strong, so as you can see, I'll get steamrolled, right? This Kobuko doesn't really do that much unless he's 3-star, right? A lot of, like, there's some units where they kind of go infinite even if they're, like, not 3-star. An example is Garen, right? A Garen 2 with, like, a Story Weaver board is still very strong, right? Because a Story Weaver board on its own is a very strong board to start with. So when you have, like, the Garen 2 with, like, Story Champion, a lot of times, like, you see people slow roll stage 3 for the Garen because they don't want to fuck up their econ too much. That makes a lot of sense in some realms, right? One thing that I did mess up here a little bit is that I did level because I'm playing this like more aggressively. Right here on the first part in stage 2, you might have noticed that I leveled, right? I pumped the level to play 4 units. That's like really risky, and I think at the time I think it's the wrong decision, honestly, if I'm being honest, because what happens is like on level 4 you have a better chance of hitting 1-star units in your shop, right? So a lot of times what you'll do is you won't because I leveled already, as you can see, I'm gonna be level 5 on Krugs, right? If you don't level on stage 2-1, then you basically be 4 exp less, so I'd be 6 out of 10 here, and then I would be level 4 on Krugs, and I'd be level 4 on 3-1. And that's really important because it helps you in hitting the Kobuko. I think this drops to like 45%. It's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's really bad, especially considering the low amount of Kobukos that I have, right? So as you can see, I'm in a level, it drops to 45, right? So I would have had a 10% higher chance of seeing Kobukos in this shop right now. And I would have had a 10% higher chance the next stage, 3-1, when I have to hit the Kobukos, right? The reason I level is because I had 2-star sniper backline, like 2-star Kog'Maw, and I had 2-star Rek'Sai. And I was thinking that I can like win a couple fights here and save some HP. Because my bigger fear is that more people are going to cap out with Scuttle Puddle than I would be comfortable with, right? Like this Kobuko in a non-Scuttle Puddle world is a lot better. I got a duplicator, which is really nice. That definitely helps, right? A little bit of high roll. And as you can see, I'm starting to roll a little bit just because I don't want to leave it all till next turn. Not breaking 50. But yeah, we're just going to go through it. I'm collecting these bruisers because typically with Kobuko, the board that you play is just vertical bruisers. I'm putting in the planner just so I can see. There's a Syndra here. Maybe I play it. I'm really only 2 Kobukos off. Now I'm only 1 Kobuko off. This is like average luck, right? Obviously the duplicator makes it a lot better. But this is what I was saying by it's like really important. First of all, like the pre-leveling, as well as the, how do I phrase it? It's like not only the pre-leveling that's a problem, but also the fact that I started with so few Kobukos, right? This is usually how many Kobukos you hit on a roll down. Like on average, this is what I find. That's why I always say like rule of thumb is have 2 Kobukos, right? Remember when I started the video, I said you have to have 2 of these guys on bench. If I had 2 of these guys on bench, what would I have? I would have 3-star right now, right? This is usually like the breaker point that I find. It's like finding the last couple Kobukos is always the worst part. So having a couple to start with definitely helps, right? I think in terms of augments, we'll look at it after maybe. I've done many Kobuko videos in the past. I've done like 1 or 2 different kinds of builds. So this one might be a little bit over, like, you know, going over the same stuff again. Final Ascension is really good. I'm checking the stats myself to make sure. Because New Recruit also seems really good. Because New Recruit, I can just get the Kobuko 3 for free, right? It gives me an extra duplicator. But I'm kind of thinking, like, you know, I probably want to level anyways. I don't think it's as... I'd rather have combat. Here, I'm rolling really aggressively. Typically, you want to slow roll 30, right? You don't want to roll past 30. But I'm 1 off because of the duplicator, right? If I wasn't 1 off of the duplicator, you usually stay at around 30 gold, right? 30 is like a good threshold where you easily could rebuild your econ, right? Because 30, you have plus 3 gold every interest, which then is really easy to convert to 40, which is easy to convert to 50, and then you reestablish your econ because you're making 50 gold per round, and you have 50 gold, so you're making 5 interest per round, so you're keeping up with the lobby, whoever has 5 interest, right? So for me, in this particular case, usually you only roll past 30 if you're 1 off because the spike is worth more, right? Me hitting this Kobuko 3 to get these extra gold drops that the Kobuko gives me is more worth it than just greeting and being at 30 gold, right? Being more HP and just having a stronger board compensates for that, right? Another note is that a lot of times when you're rolling for 1 cost, you didn't see me do it that much here. It's mostly just laziness, but it really helps to hold other 1 costs, right? The reason holding other 1 costs is good is because if you hold other 1 costs, you remove them from the pool, so it makes it a little bit easier to hit, right? Also, 1 cost, if you upgrade them, they sell for the same amount of gold, right? If you upgrade, like let's say you had a Lux, right? And you made a Lux 2. A Lux 2 would cost 3 Luxes, which is 6 gold. But it only sells for 5 gold. And that's true with all other upgrades, right? The only upgrades that sell for the same amount that you build them is 1 cost. So it's actually like a net 0. If I make a Darius 3, it costs 3 gold, and it also sells for 3 gold. So basically, whenever you do your roll down to find like a Kobuko or a Garen, you just buy every single fucking 1 cost. Because even if you upgrade them on your bench, you can sell them for exactly what you paid for them, so it doesn't matter, right? You're not actually losing any gold. Here I'm playing against the Garen. This is also really helpful for me because whenever, if you were playing like a Kobuko, it really helps to see somebody else also playing a 1 cost reroll. Because like watching this guy playing 1 cost reroll, it obviously helps me to hit because he's holding on to a bunch of Jaxes and a bunch of, what's it called? A bunch of Garens, right? Extra completed item is really nice if I can find a Kobuko item. There's not really a Kobuko item here. We could probably just like dip on this and show you like the stats, right? Right about now, right? So let's say we're going like Lucky PAWS. And we're going Kobuko. right? It averages like a 4.2. I think a lot of that is just because like it has a really high win percentage, but it averages like quite like not. It doesn't average the highest, right? You would think it's closer to like 4, closer to 3 with how strong it is, right? But the thing is, it's just a lot of times you don't hit, and that's usually the main problem, right? Typically what you're playing is, as you can see here, if we just sort by delta, which just means like what improves your position the most, a lot of times the best thing, like obviously these two are just like, it's just like how your board fits out. The main board that you're trying to build is 8 bruiser. And if you're not building 8 bruiser, you're just building vertical bruiser, right? A lot of these are just like, you know, obviously if you have altruist in, altruist is really strong, which we'll talk about later because I end up building towards that board. But typically you're playing like a 6 bruiser board. Oh, 6 bruiser actually is really bad now. Why? Oh, never mind. Something changed in the stats. I guess you don't play 6 bruiser with lucky PAWS anymore. I'll have to figure it out. I actually don't know for sure. I guess these ones are really high roll. I guess it's like if you're only 6 bruiser and you're not these other things. Wow, that's crazy. So you really want to be 8 bruiser? Maybe that's why the stats are bad. Yeah, it does decrease your average placement. But then what traits are you looking for? Oh, 4 trick shot? Oh, I see. So now you're just playing with Kaisa? You can play with Kaisa now? Oh, that's pretty interesting. But 4 bruiser is plus delta. So 6 bruiser means that you still have an emblem. So I don't think it's 4 trick shot. Anyways, that's not the board that I usually play. The board I usually play is just the bruiser board. I think it's still good. I think, like, you know, I wouldn't worry too much with the stats for this one. It just changed a lot from last time. But anyways, the best item for him is D-Claw. The reason D-Claw is really good is because it recovers maximum HP, and the Kobuko is constantly going to be gaining maximum HP. Redemption's the same way. It reduces damage, and it also recovers maximum HP. So a lot of times, like, you need either or, but at least one of these. Spark's really good, and Sunfire's really good. I was talking about this in one of my other Kobuko videos. Sometimes you can build full utility Kobuko. Because the Kobuko basically lives forever, so you'll always have Sunfire working and you'll always have Spark working, and he does magic damage, so the Spark helps to be on him. But typically what I like to do is just Dragon Claw, Redemption, Bramble Vest. So for example, if I put Dragon Claw here, oh, Bramble Vest goes down a lot. It's usually, yeah, it's Spark, Declaw. I think it's very lobby dependent. I like to have there's people in the lobby that are doing physical damage, so usually I just put Bramble Vest on him as well. Right, I do Declaw for maximum magic resist, and then Bramble Vest for maximum armor. Right, I do find it fun. And then in terms of augments, I think like Bruiser Crown obviously the best. Some of these ones well fed, but as you can see, Final Ascension is also really strong. Right, if you're playing towards that. Now in terms of the traits is the only weird one. Right, you just want to play Dragon Lord, Altruist. That makes sense. Umbral. It's like all of these make a lot of sense, right? 7 Story Weaver is the only one that's a little bit awkward, in my opinion. But I guess you would just play Lucky PAWS with 7 Story Weaver and you have Kale Carry. That does sound really interesting. I might try this next time. I think 7 Story Weaver, based on like what, like of all of these, the easiest one to hit is 7 Story Weaver. But it definitely has like so few games, right? Like if I put it to like more games, but that's something to try out, right? When you look at the stats, a lot of times, like if it's a low sample size, you're not looking at it to see what's the best to play. It's mostly like, oh, which one of these is like more reliable, right? But I think what these are is just max capped board, right? If you look at it, like the average placement decreases by a shit ton. If you have Dragon Lord, Story Weaver, Lovers, Altruist, right? This means that you made it to like Rakan, right? Like if you go on Team Builder and I'm going like Kobuko, right? And I'm going like Riven, Soraka, Rakan, right? Like this is like some like, oops, I definitely pressed some wrong buttons here. VOD review, here we go. Like you are definitely like, this is like a max cap board, right? Like I think the board that they usually end up with here is like this. It's like Lee Sin, Irelia, Galio. You have the Kale. Right, so this is what I mean. You have 3 Story Weaver, 3 Altruist, 2 Dragon Lord, right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. You have 2 more spots, and then you usually play like the other bruisers, right? So like Silas and let's just say Aatrox or Tom Kench just to be safe. You have some board like this, which is like really fucking high capped, right? That's why it's showing like, you know, bruisers, whatever. Like 6 bruiser isn't that great because a lot of times you hit a board like this and then you're only 4 bruiser and you have all this other shit. But I think the easier board to hit, like until then, right, on level 9, you can just play like, you can play one of two boards, right? You can play, where is it? Tom Kench Aatrox. This is like your 6 bruiser board typically, right? And then for backline, because these are just your 6 bruisers in the front, you can just play like a Morgana and a Zyra, right? If you have AP items. And this just basically helps you to hit like, it basically you get the kill damage, you get Morgana Sage, so your backline gets AP and your front line gets Omnivamp, right? So this is like one build of the board, but then the other one is like typically you just want to play Irelia. Or you play Irelia and then you play like a Dragon Lord, or a duelist like Lee Sin. This is obviously you need to hit on Irelia. And then like when you level up, you play Rakan, right? This is the board that I typically go for, which is just 6 bruiser, Rakan, Lee Sin, Irelia. And then if you hit 8 bruiser, you just drop the Lee Sin. You put bruiser emblem on Rakan, and you play the other dude, right? The Rek'Sai. And your 8 bruiser, and you put bruiser emblem on Rakan, right? And bruiser emblem on Rakan is really good, I'm pretty sure, right? And yeah, an 8 bruiser is just really good with the Kobuko. Yeah, I've been through the board a couple times. I find that it's weird that the 6 bruiser does so poorly. It might just be like you're stuck on a certain level, and that's why. But typically it doesn't work. It works out a little bit better. Okay, so like here we'll just go to next augment. Oh yeah, this is, oh, I bitch about this all the time. I'm pretty sure I had another game like this. Look, Kha'Zix just appears. So rip the game. Kha'Zix appeared. Everything costs 1 less gold. Hello. Sorry, I had a little, my video kind of broke a little bit. But anyways, so I just kind of skipped ahead. I'll skip back just to see if I might have to recover whatever I missed. Let's go here. So on Wolves, basically I get a bunch of components here. I just make Bramble, right? There's some AD units in the lobby, so I'm down to just have like maximum armor resist on him. And as you can see, a lot of my items look very AP focused. I could make like, you know, there's some things like I could make like Guardbreaker Giant Slayer, but I look at these items and I think to myself, Shojin, Nashers, +1, right? That's like a decent frontline item. Steadfast is pretty good on Silas, for example, if I'm playing towards these bruisers. I'm holding on to these Rek'Sai still, just because like there's always a chance I hit Rek'Sai 3, and I have partial ascension, so basically the more tanky my frontline is, the better. But as you can see, I'm level 6, 70 gold. I'm just rebuilding most of my econ. My Kobuko is just earning me a bunch of gold. This person is playing like a Sage Silas, like it's something with like vulnerable piggy bank. I think like I think Silas might be exalted or something like that, but it's fine. As you can see, I'm just earning gold. I'm at 74. I'm fairly rich, right? And I'm just giga greeding, because the more you greed now with the Kobuko, the better. As you can see, Kha'Zix appeared. I hate Kha'Zix. I complain about this all the time. I think it's the worst encounter in the game. I hate it the most out of everything. Right here, I think that this just solidifies me going guaranteed first. Why? I am full greeting. I did not send it. Look at the guy right before me. The guy right before me, he sold all of his money. He used all his money for rolling down and finding some units, right? I'm 70 gold. I'm going straight to level 10. Look, I'm 60 gold, right? Kha'Zix works for the rest of the game now, right? I didn't break my econ. I'm going to be so far ahead. I have this Kobuko, and then augment, I get bruiser +1, right? We looked at the stats before, and 8 bruiser is definitely very, very fucking strong. So all I need to do is I need to level and play 8 bruiser eventually, right? That's it. That's the game. The game's fucking over, right? I have this Bloodthirster because I think I got it with the bruiser emblem, right? So I have like this little item set that I can put on somebody, right? I might just itemize Rek'Sai at this point, just because like if I don't hit Rek'Sai, I'll sell and put items on Silas. If I do hit Rek'Sai, then she can just go nuts and she'll have like full item set. You know what I mean? But this is why I hate this encounter, right? Because the encounter, like, you can't, like, you know, like the other guy that I just fought and this guy as well, right? Like sometimes you can't decide to, like, sometimes like it's a good decision, like you just greed as much as possible. The encounters really favor you if you greed, right? Because the more you greed, if you ever hit one of these like game-winning encounters, you just get yourself into like such a good spot, right? This guy, it's like whatever, right? But the thing is, it punishes you if you have to play aggressive. And a lot of times, if you're not having like a game where you can't afford to greed, like for example, me, I have a lot of HP, right? I don't care that I lose to this guy because I'm planning on going straight to 9, kind of, right? Like this guy's really strong, but relative to the rest of the lobby, I don't think the rest of the lobby is really strong. It's Kha'Zix. It's also Kha'Zix and Scuttle Puddle. So like, not only do you have to deal with the fact that it's Kha'Zix, the fact that everybody has a bunch of gold. And the thing is, like, if you're somebody like this guy who was like Fortune, had to cash out, needed to like hit his units really hard and stuff like that, then you run into a situation of like, what the fuck does that guy do? You know what I mean? There's nothing really to do here. Me, I just aggressively use my gold. I said I was going straight to 9. I kind of chickened out a little bit. The reason I chickened out is because this guy looks like he's hitting a bunch of shit. If you looked on the side, he hit like a Wukong 2 or something. So I decided, yeah, you know, I'm just gonna like upgrade some units. Here I can drop 1 Bruiser and probably play this guy. Bruiser Udyr would probably go pretty nuts in a setup like this. And this is what I was saying. This is why I really like Bramble, right? Even though the stats say that like Bramble isn't that great, if I made like triple cloak item, like already this fight's really close. But anyways, I sent it for my gold. That's fine. But I do have a lot of gold still because of this Kha'Zix encounter. What I'm saying is, like, sometimes you don't have a position where you can greed. Because, like, you're either, like, losing a bunch of gold, you're, like, Fortune, something like that, right? You have to send it, like, in a particular turn, right? It's really important to preserve your HP. And then Kha'Zix fucking appears, right? And then it's like, well, great, I just sent it. And now everybody's going to even further ahead than me, even though, like, I was kind of forced in a position, right? So a lot of times you feel like you have to greed with these encounters because you see an encounter coming up and you're like, I have to wait for this encounter because what if it's one of like the insane ones? Like what if it's Yorick, right? The same thing would happen with Yorick, right? If you just rolled all your gold looking for units and then Yorick appears, it's like, well, shit. Now what, right? For me, it might not look like I'm very strong. It's Scuttle Puddle. Everybody has gold. Everybody's going to hit a really strong board. This is what I was expecting. I just sell these guys for gold. I should have probably played Udyr over somebody. It's just like probably over this Galio, but then I lose the problem is like Galio's my only non-upgraded one. And like this Aatrox gives a little bit of shred, which I don't have right now. So I kind of like the Aatrox in a way. But either way, it's fine. I'll just play 7 Bruiser for now. Like I said, I really want to make it so that I can level 9 after birds, right? I'll still be able to level 9 after birds because it's Kha'Zix, right? So I'll be able to make it to 9 pretty convincingly. I just fought some really strong boards. There's bound to be somebody who's a little bit weaker, like this guy, right? This guy's just playing towards Kayn, but he's not playing like the 4 Reaper variation. This video might be old, by the way. It might be like the patch prior to the Reaper variation, so don't roast this guy too much. He just might not have seen it, right? It might be like really early in the patch and stuff like that. But anyways, the reason I rolled earlier, right, like, you know, if you over greed going to 9, I really want to be like a couple lives here because I'm playing for a first, right? With this Kobuko setup, as long as I make it to level 9, I should be able to go first. I'm pretty sure Kobuko always wrecks this Garen just because Kobuko casts a little bit faster and just heals almost as much as the Garen. So I definitely think I have a good matchup against the Garen player. So if I'm better than the Garen player, it's like besides him, there's just like a couple people that are like really high roll. But I definitely think I have a good shot. Like this guy, I don't think he can beat me. Because he's basically playing like a sniper setup, but he has like a +1 spot, so he has this Lysandra. Lysandra doesn't do the whole backline stun bullshit anymore, so I'm not really too scared, even if he T-pots my Kobuko. But yeah, I have partial ascension as well, right? My augments are really, really good, right? I have the Bruiser +1 and I have the partial ascension. Right, it might look like it's close. My Kobuko's still alive. My Morgana's full HP. I should maybe sell something to make 50 here, but you know, it's fine. I really want to hold on to these Rek'Sais in case I hit Rek'Sai 3. Right, I'm only 1 off. You never know. I can get dropped another lesser duplicator. But yeah, the game, you know, if it wasn't for the lesser duplicator, I'd definitely be in a much worse spot. But I would just be on level 8 and I would just have to roll for upgrades, right? Because like, you know, if I don't have this Kobuko too early and I don't save as much HP, I might be somewhere like approximately 30 HP. And that's why I was saying that it's like really risky in Scuttle Puddle, right? I wouldn't recommend necessarily playing the way I did early game, especially, because it's Scuttle Puddle. But you know, it is what it is. Gold Orb drop. Let's see what we get. Hopefully it's like something good. All right, 2 4 that's fine. I could just level this turn, but I might greed 1 turn. I should try and find a shred. There's no shred there, which kind of sucks. Like, I have anti, I just don't have shred. Kazik, so I'm like 30 gold, level 9 already. This is what I was saying, why I can still hit it. Irelia is really good to just slot in. I didn't buy Irelia. God damn it. Oh, I just buy Soraka. That makes sense, I guess. I don't have Irelia items, but I could have made Irelia items here. Is the problem. I make Titans, and then I would have had QSS. That's our decision. I don't think I should have passed on Irelia. I think here I should have had Irelia. Even though I don't play her right away, I think that it's just because I have triple AP items is the reason why I didn't consider it. But I definitely think it was better if I had Irelia. Or at least hold it, right? Because like it's not like I was making econ anyways. Like holding the Irelia would have been nice. This duelist guy is very strong, yes. Duelists still kind of work in certain setups. Like this guy's 8 duelist, right? So 8 duelist. It also might be before the patch. I don't exactly know when this video was because it's a little bit older. But if it was before the patch, then yes, duelists were pre-nerfs. And if it's like after the patch, then like, you know, 8 duelists wasn't nerfed, if I recall. It was just the 4 and 6 duelists that were nerfed. I should be holding these Irelias. I don't know why. I think I'm too hellbent on finding this fucking Silas. Is that the problem? Way over that. That's a risky play. I don't think it's way over Sage. Rakan is good though. Yeah, this is good. I like this. And then just itemize Silas. Yeah, this is a good setup. Okay, so you might be wondering why did I switch to Rakan and Soraka? The reason you switch to Rakan and Soraka is because it's altruist, right? When you're thinking about my front line is 8 Bruiser. What does Bruiser give? It gives HP. The reason that altruist, I remember I said like when we looked at the stats, I'll talk about it later. Altruist gives like armor and MR, right? So if we're trying to make like a really strong infinite front line that scales with Ascension, right? Ascension just is like as long as my units live, they gain like their stats, right? If I'm trying to make like an infinite front line, then what you need is a lot of armor and MR as well as HP. Those are like all the tank stats, right? There's also damage reduction, of course, but like, you know, things can happen. I think I just lose against this guy. Man, these fights are close. I think I'm just missing positioning in a lot of these situations. Rek'Sai 3? Is that my win con? I thought I'd be a lot stronger comparatively. I guess it's just because I don't have Silas and Silas items. Is that why? That's crazy. Like, losing against that Garen player is shocking because I thought I would beat him for sure. I definitely greeted, but this should still be a first. If I'm... Oh, I dropped 1 Altruist for Ghostly Sage. Maybe. I think the Soraka holding the items is bad. Yeah. This is good. This is what I should have done before. Yeah. Well, I would have put all the items on Silas. I'm playing so greedy here. I really think that I have a lot more faith. I think I've seen people lose Kobuko spots like this now in the current patch. That I think this is kind of insane what I'm doing. Yeah, this is a little bit scary, but now like this guy is weak as shit. I 100% I curb stomp all the weak players. It's just the strong players that I don't beat. But it's because Scuttle Puddle, everybody like caps really high. Like the Garen player that hit, he's like in the same spot as me, except he has like a little bit of a better board. I need Silas items, I think. I think if I have triple Silas items, I win. Also shred. Oh, there's 2 sparks. Okay, now it's fine. Yeah, what did I slam? I slammed Shojin. Did I have a bow anywhere? I slammed Shojin and Nashers instead of Shiv Sterex. Yeah, Sterex is so bad here. I had a bow here. I'm trying to see why I didn't have shred earlier. Right? Other than that, like no shred components here. No shred components here. Yeah, I just made Shiv Nashers instead. Anyway, this is fine. I think this is a fine. This is an okay board now. Now I have shred on Silas. Nashers isn't like the best Silas item, but it's like it's an item nonetheless, right? Do I even make the Morgana? I guess I should, right? Just lose Sage. Yeah, I should be strong now. Like as soon as the Silas starts cooking. That's the thing with the Kobuko, right? The Kobuko, as you can see, gets overwhelmed later. But if you have like an 8 Bruiser Silas setup, that's how you really like can make things work out in a good way. But I think now, I think I overvalue this 8 Bruiser board. I think that like if I had AP items, or sorry, if I had AD items and not AP items, it was probably play like 6 Bruiser, 4 Trick Shot, which we saw in the stats, right? It's a very, it didn't have a lot of games played, but I definitely want to try it out, right? Because I can easily just fit that in instead. I would definitely like to try it out at one point, before the set ends, and then maybe I'll make a video on if it works out. I'm just rolling for Recon 2, because Recon 2 is a big spike. Yeah, I even put this on, like, it was so greedy. I even put QSS on Recon because I wanted a better Silas item. That's kind of crazy. Anyways, it's a pretty safe top 4, right? There was a lot of people that had weak boards just in general. Scuttle Puddle does that, right? The people that are ahead and have really strong boards, they get really far ahead. And the people that are weak that have weak boards get really far behind. I was somewhere in the middle because Kobuko takes a lot of time to scale up, right? A lot of it is that you get the gold value. I think that I saw so many Irelias. I think Irelia is definitely like a better play because Irelia just does so much damage that I would rather like itemize towards Irelia here and just put all these AP items on Silas. Even if they're not the best Silas items, it's like fuck it, whatever, right? But I kind of stick with like this Morgana backline just to do like AoE damage, right? I don't think it's necessarily the best play. If I sold this Morgana, put Morello on Irelia, and then took Irelia items, just put this Shoja on some random shitter, I think I would be a lot stronger. But by now, I feel like it's going to be hard to beat. Because I'm going to get a 3rd item on Silas. I'm going to have 3 item Recon as well. Recon with Bruiser Emblem is really good as well. Just in terms of like, Recon being a really strong frontline unit already. And just having like the extra benefit of like the 8 Bruiser. Where it gives like the damage as well as the HP. It's just really good. Yeah, not the cleanest Kobuko game. I mean, I'm talking about optimize. I'm pretty sure I still go first here. It's just like a couple of those losses. I think if I had a better board, I win anyways. But this board's so fucking strong. Blue buff Silas. Blue buff Silas is okay. Giant Slayer is also okay, but I think blue buff is better on Silas. Out of these 2 options. Yeah. Just 3 item Silas, that's fine. Here, I need a Recon item. It's probably, I would prefer a Declaw Recon. Actually, I'm playing against Garen. Yeah, I play against Garen. Declaw might not do anything. Yeah, we'll just take Giant Slayer, just do a bunch of damage. Fuck it. Just fuck him up. This guy's level 10. Like I said, right, this guy, like, was a lot stronger than me, especially towards the mid game. Gets even further ahead, level 10. Right, I'm not even close to level 10. I'm just rolling for, like, a Recon 2. But I'm pretty sure I beat him. Because now I have Silas too. My Silas wrapped as well. Good, just good positioning. Let's rewatch that. I want to see if it's actually like good positioning because I didn't really scout, right? I put Recon on this side. Okay, so Recon, it wasn't that great position. Recon should be on this side for sure, right? If I'm fighting against this guy, Recon does this thing where he jumps and he like that, and it reduces damage. So you really want him to be like in front of the opponent carries. But my Silas ends up wrapping just because like how things work out. We both have Ascension, so this is fine, but my board is just way too much to deal with, right? As you can see, the Silas is doing a shit ton of damage. We'll look at the battle report at the end, and you'll probably see that Silas is like #1 on damage, if not very close to the Kobuko. Yeah, exactly. Look, Silas, Morgana, Recon, right? That's what I mean. Towards the late game, your Kobuko stops being able to one-shot things. And then if the Kobuko's not one-shotting stuff, he gets stuck. And he doesn't do that much damage. Like right there, I was stuck against the other dude. This guy's 4 Porcelain, 4 Sniper. He's a little bit scary. But I should still be fine. Basically, once you have Altruist with Bruiser, this is like how you cap the board, right? You get Altruist in with Bruiser. I think Morgana for Irelia is typically the better play. Because you get free Story Weaver, so you get a free Kale that does additional little bit of damage. And the Irelia just does a shit ton of damage. And then if you can make it to level 10, you play Lee Sin. Right? And that's usually like your cap board. It might be better to drop out of 8 Bruiser as well. And play like... 8 Bruiser is just such a spike. If you don't have the Bruiser emblem, then you just drop the Bruiser units. And you play... what's it called? You play like Soraka, Wukong. Right? You play like that capped level 9 board. And it's probably a lot better. Yeah, but as you can see, this Recon is just going infinite. And then Kobuko lives. Kobuko cleans up shop. The other Kobuko did the most because the rest of my board died. I'm curious about this Garen play. I really should be putting Rakan on the opposite side. I really should be putting Rakan on the opposite side. Let's see if I do it this turn. My Galio placement is great, right? Because Galio, he does the taunt, right, as the big circle. So you want it to be on the enemy carry so they draw attention to like the Galio. And then you can have your other units like attack or be safe or heal up and stuff. So this Galio placement is really good, but my Rakan placement is really bad. And so is my Sylas, honestly, in this fight too. Because this guy's trying to play the set to like jump on my back line. Here I'm seeing if I level again, right? It's Kha'Zix, so I can definitely make it to level 10. Level 10 for like a Soraka is honestly like a really big spike as well. Just a little bit of extra healing. But that's the thing with bruisers, right? When you have like these bruiser board, the bruiser gives additional damage every couple seconds, right? So just having like everybody capped out, you basically just do a huge amount. And then holding on to this Rek'Sai was really a smart idea as well, because Rek'Sai, as you can see, she's really tanky. What do I take here? Honestly, it's probably like Shiv. Actually, this is fine. Like Shiv for this Morgana is really good, because like in case my Sylas dies, I still keep the Shred alive, right? Even though like, I already have Shred at this point. But Steadfast is also good. I should probably put on Galio. I'm just rolling down here. Why am I rolling down? Did this guy... oh, he's looking for Lee Sin, right? Yeah, I think that's why. Ooh, I'm one off Sylas 3. Oh, hell yeah. Let's go, let's go. Come on. Aw. Did I not find any Lee Sins? I think that's a smart roll down. This guy... Well, he wasn't close to Lee Sin 3. I guess I couldn't make it to level 10. I want to end the turn this fight. Oh, he's not even going for Lee Sin 3. Was it go 10 here? I guess it's because I'm 1 life, right? If I just hit something 3-star, I'm just strong. Yeah, I guess that's fair. It was a little bit of an awkward game, if I have to say so myself. Because the Kobuko is usually a lot stronger in those late game situations, but I think it's just because it's Scuttle Puddle. Right? If it wasn't Scuttle Puddle, I'm pretty sure I win all of those stages and I'm not 16 HP. Right? I think that like it got really scary towards like the end of stage 4 when I lost like 3 or 4 rounds in a row. But that was a good call on me to like play around the Morgana. I think playing around the Aurelia would have probably been stronger anyways, right? If I just played Aurelia and like I would have been stronger, so it wouldn't have been as scary. But this variation works as well. I don't have the extra Sage in because I have this Rakan, but it's fine. Okay, come on, put the Rakan on this side, bro. Rakan should be on the other side. I think I just don't want to change anything because I keep winning. Oh, this guy griefed himself. He put his... I didn't reposition the Rakan, but he repositioned for me. Yeah, I hit the Azir for sure there, right? Oh yeah, this is looking good for me, right? Oh, unless I still lose. Do I lose this because of just damage? Nah, there's no way I lose this, right? Yeah, Rakan just going around. Yeah, all his front line already died. That was great. All right, sick. It's a first. Okay, so tips to know about, right? 8 bruiser, really good with Kobuko. 6 bruiser, unknown. You really have to make it to level 9 with this comp, so you gotta greed the mid stage. I don't know why I was so weak in the middle of the game, but if you want to see other Kobuko games to kind of gauge it, there are 2 other videos on my channel. Make sure to like and subscribe if you like this content. And then as you can see, Kobuko, it's fairly easy to play. Obviously, this is me taking in a bad spot. If I'm being honest here, like this starting of the game, Scuttle Puddle, everybody's really strong. I have no additional Kobukos, and all I have is a Redemption, which isn't even Kobuko's best item. Like his best item is like a D-Claw or like a Spark and something like that, I think are the better performing items. So I literally took this unit and this thing in the worst possible spot. And I also leveled early, which is like a really scary mistake. So right here, I pumped the level, right? And I think that really affected finding the Kobukos. Obviously, I high rolled the duplicator, but this was a pretty bad spot to take Kobuko. I hit, so it was fine. I lost a lot of HP here. I don't even know why. I think it's just because everybody's so capped, right? Like this guy being 8 duelist, right? 8 duelist Rakan. like Dragon Lord, Lee Sin, this guy, like look how many items he has, right? Gargantuan's resolve. Yeah, this guy was just so fucking strong actually. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully this was an enjoyable video. And yeah, fuck Kha'Zix, you know? Hate that unit. See ya.